Marie, if you could do a roll call, please.
Member Marston?
Here.
Member Bell?
Here.
Member Gould?
Here.
Member Huff?
Here.
Member Nolenberg?
Here.
Student Member Iving?
I see no request for public comment on closed session agenda items. I will move that we adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nolenberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Okay, we're now in closed session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bell? Are you an aye, Mr. Bell?
Aye.
Okay, tonight's meeting is being recorded. Mr. Nolenberg, would you be so kind as to lead us in tonight's pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there was no action taken in tonight's closed session. Mr. Pomeroy, if you'd be so kind as to lead us to the podium.
Sure.
Well, John, I'm so sorry this took so long to get to you. Apparently it's an issue finding the right type of tree. For these things, with the right type of grade structure in it, that's already been cut down, so it's conservation. But thank you for what you've done for the school districts and for the service that you gave the kids in schools and the staff of the school district. So on behalf of us all, thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
Maybe bear with you and your lovely wife to take the picture.
Sure.
So here's your.
Spell my name right.
You tend to do that.
Don't put your hand over it. There you go.
We're getting a picture taken by Jerry Gymnasium.
Good, thank you.
Okay, one request for public comments. Mrs. Sully, would you make a comment now or later?
If it would be okay with you, I'd like to kind of combine, I have 21, 22, and 23. If I could just do it all right before 21 or 23, whatever works for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, district updates, business services.
Good evening. I wanted to let the board know an update about our Security and Safety Committee. So as you may recall, we've developed a Safety and Security Committee. We have representatives from each site, the district office and facilities. Our first task is to get our emergency plans for each site completed. We're at about 98% on those. The second one is to do an inventory of each emergency bin at each site. 4 have been completed. There are 4 scheduled for week after next. And what we'll do is, when the inventory is complete, compare it against the guidance from our JPA security representative and get all of those bins up to where they need to be. I'd like to give you a quick update on the facilities bond projects. Temple City High School Phase 1B, which is the pool, locker room, and field renovation. The electrical switch gear has been completed. The backfill at the retaining walls of the pool have been completed, and the new equipment and backwash pit have been formed and poured. For Longden Elementary, all the new casework has been installed in kindergarten. You will recall that kindergarten is the last phase at Longden. The TAC board has been put up and the painting has been completed. Cloverly and La Rosa are both having modernization. The contractors have begun mobilizing and we're just getting started this week. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Education services?
Good evening. Just to give an update from our office, we are working with Adult Ed to make sure we offer courses for our current students and as well as community members. We are working with PCC to make sure we offer ESL classes and citizenship classes to our community members because they are both in high demand. Those courses will come to the board in the next month for approval and discussion. Mary Ann and I are working on updating the textbook cycle so we have new resources and curriculum for our students in all core areas. And our CASP state exam scores will be delayed until October due to an error in grading of the 8th grade math exam. They do have it fixed. Fortunately, all the scores will go up slightly. But the state scores will be made public in October, and we're anxiously waiting for those.
Personnel services.
All right, well, first thing I just wanted to just let everybody know, so last Friday, the LA County, they had their Teacher of the Year celebration, all the Teachers of the Year for LA County. We were able to attend that, and Marlise Reyna, 8th grade teacher at Oak, was being celebrated. It was a great event. 13 of our family, district office, our principal, were able to attend that event, and it was a great event. That was last Friday in Universal City. We are having for all of our Teachers of the Year that were selected last year, we are having our luncheon at the district office, and that's going to be November 9th. We're excited about that. We have our health and welfare open enrollment. That is running, that'll run through next week, so we're almost done with open enrollment. Just to give an update on some personnel items, our directors of elementary and secondary curriculum instruction, those interviews, those first interviews took place this week, yesterday and today. We have several candidates moving forward to a second interview, which will be next week, and that'll be with cabinet. And then we're hoping that if somebody selected will go to the board for approval in October. So that's an update in personnel.
Thank you very much. Any bargaining unit comments tonight?
Please. Thank you.
Good evening. As TCA president this year, I wanted to make it a priority to work closely with everyone in the district and to open the lines of communication. Within the first month of school, I have met with the staff of most school sites. I wanted to give our union members an opportunity to meet with the executive board of TCA and to let them know that we're there for them. We also wanted to hear all their concerns and give them a chance to ask us questions. Also, it was really just a great chance for me to get to know the individual sites and to address their specific needs. And from these ongoing discussions and meetings, I can see that TCA is a strong organization of professional educators, and they're united in supporting students, and we're united in supporting one another. And that's why we're here tonight. We have a collective and common goal to provide an outstanding education to students and families in Temple City. The recent events of the past year have divided our district, but TCAA is working on coming together to move forward. Because our union is a unified group, we plan to be more visible, so you will see us in the community and at school board meetings, and we hope to get you to get to know us better and us to know you better. Our goal is to strengthen our relationship with one another and to improve matters within the district. This year, TCEA's, can't say our organization tonight, that's capital T, capital C, capital E, capital A. TCEA's executive board and the bargaining team are both new. We have nearly over 300 members, and many of them want to show support for this new group and that we're elected to represent them. So this is why you may see more of us here at meetings and other events. We hope to be out in the community more often. We would like to be a group that support one another and work together to move forward. And united, we know we can work together to strengthen and advance our district. I hope that you would view this as a positive thing and one that may bring hope to our future in Temple City Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. 105-823, any comments? Student board member comments?
Hello, good evening. So there's kind of a lot of updates since school started. So school obviously has started and it's settled down quite a bit since the commotion of the first week of school. We had our first Spirit Week and our fall rally, which were spy themed. So kind of, we called it 00626 and it went really well. And ASB, this is the first year we've decided to do this, but we started to have an overarching theme for all our dances, and this year that overarching theme is the happiest place on earth based off of Disneyland. And our first dance of the year is approaching. That will be Homecoming on Saturday, October 27th. And the theme is Down the Rabbit Hole, which is based off of Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. And we had our movie night for that last Friday, and Homecoming Court was announced today at a breakfast, and ticket sales are currently going on right now. So ASB also decided to reach out to the student body for more input on how to improve the school. And ASB went through some of that feedback with the principal, Dr. Lasher. So one of the inputs that we got that have been through like more people, like it was suggested by multiple people, were the desire for an American Sign Language course. But upon discussion with Dr. Lasher, it wasn't really feasible because given the situation with the German program and the new foreign language program, we thought it might be better to hold off until we have a stronger foundation with that. And another important discussion that started with Dr. Lasher regarded summer school cost and finding a happy medium, because our junior class this year decided to go to Options for Youth for summer school rather than going to have it at TCSF. And upon thinking about it, Options for Youth is a free summer school, so it leaves students with two options, which is paying for convenience to go to TCSF schools or having to find their own transportation to get summer school for free. And we were just thinking of potentially finding more creative approaches for summer school, like online credit and courses for some of our mandatory requirements such as health or the history programs. And one last thing, we have been successfully chartering clubs throughout the past month, and we have successfully chartered 88 clubs this year. But something that is new this year is there have been increase in clubs that want to donate funds to third-party organizations such as charities or homeless shelters. And this is new to us, and we're working with Dr. Lasher to clarify the parameters for it, because we weren't sure if there was a board policy regarding whether we could donate school funds to other organizations. Sorry, that was a lot, but yeah, that's updated.
Mr. Gould, you want to start off board member comments?
Yeah, it was a very interesting day this morning. Mine started off at about 4 o'clock this morning at the San Diego racetrack. The Channel 7 Eyewitness News has a program where they kind of, in your neighborhood, the different reporters that they have. And one of the reporters, Christina Silva, went to Temple City Unified School District from the 4th grade up to 8th grade. And so her fondest memories is being in Oak Avenue. And so what they did was they had all of the Oak Avenue auxiliary, the band, the orchestra, the cheerleaders or the auxiliary team, and the ASB, and choir, or chorus, excuse me. And they all performed up there. And so from 4 o'clock till about 7, they had a little spot, interviews and stuff on the television. So if you're fortunate to record it like I did, you can go back and see it then too. It was really very fortunate to hear them, the anchor people, talking back at the studio, and how excited they were that, wow, that they are middle school students, stuff with the orchestra and the band and the choir, that they were, amazed at how good Tcusd City is. That we keep trying to tell everybody how amazing we are, and it was nice to see it broadcast over the area. Also, there's a side note too that Christina was also appointed or elected to the honorary Grand Marshal for the Community Parade. So she accepted that. And so that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Hunt?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. Well, I started out with going to the PTSA meeting. It's the first one of the year, and they invited new members, and they had over 40 people there. And so I went there because I wanted to show my appreciation for their outstanding staff luncheon they had for the high school. They went above and beyond. They're amazing team over there. So anyway, I enjoyed the meeting, and it was really very informative, and it was really good to see everybody so involved with it. Also too, I went to the Moon Festival news conference, and that was very interesting too. So I met the president and the vice president of World Journal, Chinese newspaper. So I got to talk to them. And then for the Moon Festival, I worked with Women's Club. So I worked in the booth for about 2 hours. And that was also interesting, so I got to engage with some people there. Also, I want to remind Tcusd employees and Temple City Chamber and council members for their flu shots. Ta-da! It's that time of year. I'm doing this for Nurse Nancy. On Thursday, October the 4th, from 1 to 4:30 at Healthcare Partners at 9810 Las Tunas. You go for your free flu shot. So just bring your ID badge. So that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bell?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm glad to hear that some of our kids are getting an opportunity to do fun and wonderful things outside of their academic world. I'm always happy to hear that. I don't have too much to say tonight, except just want to say hi to everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight. Appreciate it.
Mr. Noel?
Yes. Just a couple of quick ones. One is I also attended the Moon Festival and the gourmet food, and I was fortunate enough to get a certificate because our superintendent and acting interim superintendent were kind enough to donate our parking lots for some of the patrons of the park. And so we got a letter of appreciation, which I give to the president of the committee on correspondence. Also, I'd like to look at during this last couple of weeks, August officially has started, and so we're now in a different season that you can't tell by the weather. And also there was a Jewish holiday 2 days during the last week that the Jewish people celebrate. That's about it. Thank you.
My colleagues pretty much covered everything. I'll pass it on to Mr. Tower.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the superintendent search. But before I do that, I'd like to say that I had the pleasure of going to visit Oak Avenue this morning as the mayor was speaking with the full student body in the gym. And he gave a very inspirational speech about his road to becoming an American citizen here and about the possibilities that lie ahead for all those students in terms of community leadership roles that some of them should be able to take once they grow up. And I will tell you that just looking at the audience and listening to the students, it's very, very inspiring. And I was talking with the mayor about that. Very inspiring knowing the good hands that we're in when we get to the point where we're ready to hand over the leadership roles to the youth of today, it's very encouraging as far as I'm concerned. I did have the pleasure of going to visit every classroom over at La Rosa the other day, and it was an old place for me because I used to be there. But by the same token, it was just really inspiring to see the excellent instruction that's going on at the school side. I'd never been on the second floor before, and so when I was on the second floor, all the kids who were, I think it was the second graders, were in PE class, and they were playing Capture the Flag. And from the second floor, you could see it. It looked like it was, what was that movie, Braveheart. It looks like there was a mass of kids coming into the second floor to capture the flag. And it was all free for me, so it was really great. Anyway, they did a really nice job. It's a great school. And I'd like to commend the 3 assistant soups that we have because they've really put a top priority in being as visible and accessible to the school sites as possible. And so they've spent a lot of time out there looking at the classrooms and noting the top quality of instruction that's happening out at the schools. So that's really neat. Now to the superintendent search. The superintendent search, if you'll remember, it's the criteria that we were looking for is criteria that was determined by the information I got at the input sessions, both live and also the information we got through the survey monkey that we did. So we got 400 plus responses to that. The evidence of what you're looking for was there in the application process. There were 3 questions that they needed to respond to, that applicants need to respond to, and have done so. We've gotten several applications completed so far. It closes this Friday. I spent yesterday and today a good part of both of those days talking with applicants who are considering applying for Temple City. So I'm cautiously optimistic that you'll have a great slate of candidates to work with or to consider for employment as superintendent of Temple City Unified. I think it's important to set aside, I'm going to be asking for a couple of closed sessions so that I can review all the applications with you the week of October 15th, so that we can review all of the applications and so that we can set aside interview opportunities during that time period as well. So that's a little bit of an update with that. But I'm very encouraged with the applicants that have been acquired and the applications that we've received so far. So that's good. Thank you.
I have no written communications here.
Yes. There's a letter of appreciation from the city itself that the mayor and the president of the newspaper who sponsored the Room Festival, which is over 4,000 years old, I guess, for Chinese people. A rather significant undertaking for the city to bring the city together. And so this is a certificate that for our participation as a school system in helping provide parking. And once again, we're visible. I think it's something that we should work harder at, is be more visible with things in the community so that people recognize the distinction between the city council and the school board.
Yeah, I forgot to bring the note down with me, but a couple of weeks ago at a Friday night game over at Temple City High School, they were playing Gabrielino High School, and there was a student from Gabrielino that was injured, had to be carried off the field, actually sent to the hospital, as a matter of fact. So I did get some information both from the superintendent in St. Gabriel Unified, also that the student did go to the hospital, was released from the hospital at 3 a.m. that same, I'll use the word evening, and that he was home resting. He had the week off. He had to take the week off according to his doctor, but he's doing well and he's back in school and doing just fine. But the note that I got was a note from the football staff at Gabrielino, and it was a note that was thanking and complimenting the staff, the way that the staff showed their care and concern for that Gabrielino student. in that incident. So I thought that was a really nice, positive thing to say. I wanted you to know about that.
We'll move on to item 18, update on deferred maintenance projects by Michelle.
Hello, members of the board, members of the cabinet. Presenting the deferred maintenance tonight, projects we've done over the last year. So, to start, some of the pictures that are on the front, the little track on the left-hand side is over at Ember. We just colored it up for them and added the alphabet throughout there. The center picture is a retaining wall that was put in back behind the storage area at the high school, and it's going to have irrigation and it'll be all planted up on top of that. And then we also have been adding some new fences. That's the picture on the right. That's the tennis courts at the high school, and they were done in green vinyl fencing, and so it gives the appearance of you can see through them a lot better now. Anything green or black, if you're looking at it, you can pretty much see right through it. Your eyes don't adjust to it. So just a little better for spectators, I guess, looking at it from the outside.
We're having some communication between the PC and the screen. Bring it back up.
Every single kid got on the computer without one problem. 15 kids, twice. 12. So I think I've got them worked out. They were only 14 inches.
Just turning up the act.
Put a camera on there and then we go to the street. I'm in. You can't just buy any old camera that has one of those Chromebooks. Actually, lots of different.
So I know that we tried to, that we did this earlier and it worked just fine, but apparently there's some kind of a technical glitch. Can we just go ahead, Tony?
Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and, I think Mary Ann's giving them some handouts for it, so we'll wait a couple minutes here and.
Anybody else need a copy?
I apologize for the lack of the projection. Sometimes technology is technology.
Anybody else? Here's my copy, it's very exciting.
Okay, so we'll continue now. So it'll actually be starting here on page 1. So the next page here is the estimated cost of the projects that we did. The backfield at the high school, Temple City High School fencing, bleachers at the high school, had to replace some components on the chiller. The Emperor kindergarten, re-keying, we are continuing with that, which we've been doing for the last several years. The backfield at Oak, we completely tore up and reworked. We'll get into that a little bit more as we go. The gym at Oak, carpeting at Oak, and the high school, and a few other jobs at facilities and purchasing. Page 2. So the backfield at the high school, we moved around all the storage containers, and then we built a retaining wall behind them because it was a sloped hill. We've opened up the whole track area, and it was really a big undertaking to, if you had ever been back there, to see how you had to get around there, and it was very unorganized. So we moved all the containers around. They're all labeled now, and there's like a master sheet in the offices that they have, so that anybody could go, hey, I need to get into number 5, and they'll know what's in there now. So after the bins, I don't think anybody knew whose they belonged to, so now everybody's clear. We also did the TC and the Rams logo in concrete out there, so that they will never, we haven't done in rock or some gravel in DG, but this stands out a little bit better, and you can really see it from the bleachers. So next page, at the high school, like I said, the fencing, the tennis court fencing was, we had to do, started on an emergency repair on the west side. The fence was getting ready to fall. We had a few broken main supports that were busted off at the base, so we secured that up before we could get it all replaced. And then in the front, since we were going with the new pool and softball field, we figured we'd dress that up too as well. And we put all new, as I said, green vinyl fencing in there. It really came out nice. So we're also doing fencing along Camino Real right now, and we did some out in center field at the baseball field.
Anthony, can I ask you a question about Camino Real?
Yes.
I went by it when it was up, but they had not put that blocking material through the fence yet. What's the purpose of having that plastic material in the fence where you can't see through it?
That should all be down. We asked them when they changed the screen to remove that, not put it back up. But the workers out there put it back up, and I already have spoken with the the contractor today, and they're going to pull it all back down. We're going to save it and actually possibly utilize it in other areas. So it will all be open on the, down towards the west end.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Page 4, these were the baseball bleachers. They were a little dated, and we were picking up some code violations on them from some inspections. So we went ahead and purchased for visitor and home side new aluminum bleachers that are all up to code now. So those are all finished and looks good out there. Page 5, the chiller. We had to replace the picture that's on the left is what we took out. It was a circulation pumps, and so we had to crane in two new pumps and motors, the whole assembly, and so we completed that over summer. So it's a redundant system, only one runs, but so we were only running on one pump, so if that would have gone out, we would have been having to get a rental again. So these are getting ready to be shipped out for rebuild, and then we'll have a backup unit if we ever needed it.
Tony, can I ask you a question? What's the chiller and what's it?
The chiller is it's basically the AC system for the 300, 400, and 500 wings at the high school. It's, instead of running through like a conventional air conditioner, it runs chilled water in through an air handler. So, page 6. This is the kindergarten at Emperor, and we just, like I said, just gave it a little color. It was something that Dr. Chang asked for over the summer, and so I just cleaned it up back there a little bit. So it's just, we just did this in-house. It was just quick and easy. The Keene, we have now completed Longton. The high school had the 400 and 500 wings done, and Oak will be commencing in January after the first of the year. So, and that will be their two-story building will be the first one done over at Oak, and the gates. And then that one in the high school will still be continued on through next year. Next page on the, at Oak, we killed off all the grass. It was a lot of potholes out there, very uneven. Everything was leveled out. We put a whole new irrigation system in, all new valves, pipes, sprinkler heads, clock, and it's just about finished right now. We will be spraying for the hydro seed on Monday morning, and then we'll just get to watch it grow. So everything, that's a big field back there. It took a lot of work. My guys did all the irrigation in-house. The only thing we contracted out was leveling off, killing the grass and then leveling off the field. And then those guys, that same company's coming back in to do the hydro seed.
Tony, what's the quick couplers at the field?
In each corner of the field, quick coupler is, instead of having a hose bib sticking its way out of the ground, it's a coupler, and it goes down and it quarter turns, and then your hose bib comes out of that. So you can run a hose out there somewhere if you needed it, but it's not going to be sticking up out of the ground. It's recessed in a box underground. So it's just a water source.
Okay, so the sprinklers are not, that's not part of the sprinkler machine?
No, it's all, we integrated it all into the same system, but those are always live. So anytime somebody wants to, if you needed a hose out there for any reason, for whatever event they were going to do, they would be able to tap in to that water source. Next picture is Oak Gym. This was done earlier in the year. We put up pads on the north and south side of the gym. This is, again, we took all the paneling down, put up these pads. We had to redo the floor grates on the bottom where the ventilation system was. It really cleaned it up in there. It looks really nice. There's still a couple other walls that have the paneling on them. So hopefully we can continue and do a little bit more in there and finish it off.
This is the area that has the big fans in it?
Pardon me?
This is the area that has the fans, right?
Yes. Well, the high school gym has the fans also.
But the ones that don't, they seem to make so much noise, no one turns them all on anymore. Has that been resolved?
I have not been advised of any noise from them. They make some noise if you turn them up all the way, like full blast, but they're variable speed drives, so you can keep them low. They're designed to run at a lower speed and still run, get the airflow. Next page is we redid a lot of carpeting and some vinyl flooring, some VCT over at Oak. This was on their 400 and 500 wing. There was quite a few classrooms, as you can see, that we had to go through, and we also had to do some abatement once we got into it on the asbestos tiles that were underneath. That was unforeseen during the beginning of the project. We thought we'd just be pulling the carpet off of those, but the tiles decided to come up with them, so we had to go into emergency mode and get it all abated at the same time. So, but it came out really nice. We heard some positive from the teachers over there that about the classroom. So, wish we could have done more, but that was their summer project for that. Next is just some pictures of my shop area where we started replacing some of the windows. We had some old single hung windows, single pane glass. They were falling apart. A lot of termite and dry rot damage in them. So we're just going to some vinyl dual pane windows. And then we did some paint carpet over in the purchasing office for them. We met with the city, and they said if I added irrigation on Camino Real and on Longden, they would provide the trees, and they will do the upkeep on the trees. So we ran irrigation out to these locations, and they provided 30 trees. One of the gentlemen who was in charge of the grounds crew for Temple City said 40 years on Camino Real there, it's been nothing but a dirt strip there. So I think it's going to look great once they'll start growing in. They're golden trumpets, so they're going to have a yellow flower on them, and it will blend in with the high school there. So, and then we put crepe myrtles down along them. So, and the next just at the 500 wing at the high school, we did 3 rooms, some carpet in those rooms that needed it. So that was quick and easy. So that was it. Any questions?
So what you got coming up for the next 6 months or so?
We've just discovered a lot of things in the snack bar that we're going to be doing at the football stadium.
What?
The snack bar at the football stadium, we're going to be doing some work inside there. So we'll be keeping it open for football games, but we're going to start on that. And other than that, nothing. Just we have some other carpet going in January, and some more key locks and keys going at Oak. So We're gonna start getting prices on some AC units at the high school in the 700 wing. They're over 20 years old up there now, so we're gonna have to start looking at that. We've got, we have some discussions, Mary Ann and I, about some other bigger projects that we need to hash out and see which ones are gonna be for next summer, so. I don't know if I should say or not. So.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you do. Grounds are looking great. I'm sure everyone's happy with what's being done, and they're happy with what's going to be done in the future, too. So, appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, I was just informed a while ago that item 19 is being pulled for tonight. Given the trade jurisdiction. All right, so we'll move on to item 20. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 1819-7 to commit the ending fund balance of Fund 14 deferred maintenance? Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mrs. Huff. Mr. Huff, do you wish to add anything to this?
This is a bit of an accounting housekeeping item that's done each year since GASB 45 was enacted. Anytime you have money in a separate deferred maintenance fund, which is part of our budgeting, which was approved by the board, and you commit those funds, which means they've been set aside specifically for deferred maintenance, we need to pass this resolution to take care of that.
All right, so this is an annual thing we do this.
Yes, and we can't really finalize the amount that's transferred into that fund until we finish the year end, because the transfer to this fund is based on total expenses.
Exactly. Any more questions concerning this item? Ms. Marie, would you do a roll call vote?
Member Bell?
Yes.
Member Gold?
Yes.
Member Huff?
Yes.
Member Nollenberg?
Yes.
Member Marcy?
Yes. Okay. Mrs. Soto, you wanted to
You know what, I'm sorry, I will start with 22. If that would be okay.
All right, is there a motion to adopt resolution 1819-6, adopting the GAN limit for 2017-18 and 2018-19 fiscal years? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Nollenberg, second by Mr. Gould. Mr. Rupp?
In 1979, Proposition 4 was passed, which is commonly referred as the GAN limit, and it discusses the maximum appropriation limits from the state for public schools. And if you turn to behind the resolution in your package, you'll see the GAN limit calculation for 17-18, and that's the final, and then the 18-19 projected calculation, and we're in compliance and with the limitations on both. So this is an annual requirement as well.
Very good. Any more questions? Any questions? Ms. Marie?
Member Bell?
Yes.
Member Gold?
Yes.
Member Huff?
Yes.
Member Nollenberg?
Yes.
Member Marcy?
Yes. Item 22. Mrs. Soto?
Yes, if I can speak from here, it would be okay.
I would
with that?
appreciate if you please come to the
Okay.
podium.
On Rachel Lasota, on item 22 with Tcusd, some of the concerns that I'm having with these change orders is when you're addressing the change orders and you're talking about them being fully vetted, some of the items, I'm wondering why it wasn't in the initial bid. And when you're going through, some of this has nothing to do with Tcusd, but some of this has to do with the board's responsibility as to when they were creating their plan as to how they were going to address this build. So my concern is that when you are looking at these change orders and you are seeing things that require ADA compliance, that should have been caught when you were drafting your plans whether it was this board or previous board or 3 years ago, you should have caught some of these things before Tcusd ever even got this to the bid, because those were standard issues with compliance. The other concern is this is a lot of money on some of these change orders. And considering this board's history and looking back at previous change orders, especially to the high school, I'm a little bit concerned that all of a sudden now it's okay because you're being informed, but you should have been informed before it got to this point. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Jason, would you care to go over this change order, please?
Change order for item number 22, change order number 1 for fast track construction, phase 1B at the high school. There are some unforeseen things that we had to address and some additions that we needed to take care of, and we are about 65–70% through that project, and this is our first change order. If there were specific questions to anything on there, I could speak to them directly. Otherwise, I'll just leave it at a lump sum.
I think it may help our public here, just a really brief, very brief summary. I know there's 9 items here that have change orders, and as I look at them, it looks like for at least one instance, it was something where Edison determined that we were not in compliance. I guess my question is, do they come out to look at this stuff before all the, during the planning phase?
So, the plans for this project were done 3–4+ years ago, and then put through the state for approval. We had to engage Southern California Edison for the new electrical vault and new meters that are going in. And when they came out to review what was done there and review our plans, they decided that our service that was required, the electrical vault that was in our design, designed by the engineer some years ago, wasn't going to be adequate for the service that we needed. So we had to go back to our engineer and tell them what Edison was looking for and redesign the vault. Why it was changed? Edison does what Edison wants, and according to our engineer, who has been actually involved in the project for a while, that wasn't their initial indication.
Thank you.
I can hit some of the other big ticket items here. I believe there's a typo on the square footage. I believe it's 13,500 square feet. But when the initial design's done, it's done based on, mainly based on as-built, which are basically drawings left over from previous projects. And if those as-built are incorrect, sometimes the new drawings and the new plans will also be incorrect because of that. And that's something that we found specifically in that concrete area. If you looked at it on paper, it all looks good, but when you go out and actually start putting a smart level on things, you found out that it was not ADA compliant. Hazardous materials. When we took out the ceiling in the locker room, there was lots of asbestos insulation that we had no idea was there that had to be abated. Those are pretty much the big ticket items.
I also have just a question. I know that there's a lot of work in progress with the pool and the modernization for the lockers. Are we kind of in between as far as the modernization for the lockers? The ones that's right next to the pool? I don't know what the number for the building is. Right?
The locker rooms are being utilized now.
Right, correct.
They're not 100%. There's still construction that's happening after hours in those areas, but they are to the point where they're being utilized by staff and students.
Okay.
But there is additional work that needs to take place in those areas.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Item number 23 would be...
Well, we need to vote on number 23.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move to approve the change order number 1, Fast Track Construction Corporation for Tennessee High School Phase 1B.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Item 23, please.
Item 23 is change order number 3 for Angela's Construction at Longden. We are anticipating turning over Longden, the last phase, which is kindergarten, at the end of October. So we will get all the staff and students moved over into those new rooms. This change order encompasses a lot of the can of worms, if you will, that we uncovered when we got into kindergarten, and also some of the elective upgrades that we decided to do while we had that can of worms open.
We came across a lot of construction in there that was not even permitted.
We came across things that were not documented through the state that we had to take out. We came across water damage and termite damage and some mold damage that we didn't anticipate. We anticipated a little bit, but not the trifecta. And at the same time, while we had all the walls open where we could address those things, we decided to insulate them, which wasn't there before and wasn't in our initial plan. We also decided to give them some mechanical upgrades in the way of new HVAC systems, and new casework and finishes like that.
How would you suggest it be done differently to prepare a bid for this project?
So I wasn't involved in the design development for this project, but it's my understanding that a parties who were involved decided that this phase of the project would just kind of get a facelift. Just a couple new finishes, and then they would move on. In the course of our construction, we opened walls and found things that we knew we were going to have to fix, and decided that in the course of fixing those things, we would basically give those rooms what the rest of the site got.
Right, so it ended up being cheaper to go ahead and change the orders and fix these issues of water damage and the termites and the improper building that was done and non-permitted now, instead of just giving a facelift cover.
Yeah, if we had just done a facelift and ignored the things that we discovered, you guys would have had big problems.
All right, any more questions? I'll move to approve the change order number 3 to Angels Contractor Inc. for along the elementary school modernization project. Seconded by Mrs. Tuck. All in favor? 5-0.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Mrs. Sully, did you have another comment?
Yep. On your consent agenda, your unapproved minutes for your board meeting on September 12th. You have, after you reconvene to open session, you don't disclose whether you took action or no action, which could be a Brown Act violation. So you need to correct that. I'm not telling you what you should do, but I would assume in order to be compliant with the law, you might want your minutes to accurately reflect. I didn't listen to the recording, so you're going to have to determine whether you took a legal or non-legal action during that time. And then proceeding into your minutes, on page 4, Mr. Nolenberg, it's 2018. I'm not sure if I should be offended as a parent or who exactly you are talking about when you say that there is a lack of communication with parents to help kids get through school, such as if parents need to take them to museums and historical sites. Now, I know I haven't been sitting where you're sitting in quite a few years, but the last time I checked, Temple City's still in the top 40 school districts in the state, so I don't think our parents are having a communication problem. But I definitely think this is a very inappropriate statement for a publicly elected official, and I would caution you that perhaps you need some ethics training and some EEO training to be able to be a better public servant. Moving on to your consent agenda, as I'm going through, if you would hold 2 regular meetings, you wouldn't have all these purchase orders to pay, which is actually somewhat misleading to the public to cram it all in. But item check number 151 for legal services, $48,300, and I don't have my glasses, $18.46. And item 152, $98,779.84. I'm a little concerned. It's September. Your fiscal year just started July 1st, and that's a lot of money in legal fees. So either something's not right, or these bills were intentionally held during all the chaos last year, or I should say last fiscal year, to get to be paid till now, which would be somewhat of a financial irregularity if that was the case. The other final comment I have is you need to look at amending your EEO and your complaint policies on staff. There is a problem and a lack of communication, and I'm not so sure your staff is up to date on California and federal law on how to handle complaints. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I do recall reporting out that there was no action taken in closed session. However, we do need to have it reflected in the minutes, and this is on all of us since we're working new. So we'll go ahead and pull the special meeting minutes, so that can be amended. We just go ahead and do it for the next meeting. I don't think there's a problem with that. Ms. Rowe, would you like to do a breakdown of those legal fees that were mentioned?
So those two checks that were referenced total $147,098.30, and they're primarily made up of three main areas. The first one is $65,293.08, and that's personnel matters related to investigation and audit. The second main area is general counsel, $18,657.19, and that's related to general operations of the district. The third is $63,148.03, and that's primarily related to responses to many requests for public information and a cure and correct on Brown Act.
May I comment?
This is
Yeah,
we've already gone through.
Okay, that's, you are required by law to respond to public requests.
Okay. Are there other questions concerning the consent agenda? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Are there any additional board comments? Okay, I will move that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Second by Mr. Nolenberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.